Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the Morning Market Prep video for February 16th, 2024. Well, yesterday the bulls just decided we don't care, we want to go higher, and really push the indexes right back up. Let's take a look at what happened overnight, because we see Asian markets, those that are open after the lunar holiday, most are back open. Hong Kong really surging higher up last night, up 2.48%. And the Nikkei really stretching up as well, 0.86%, nearing their all-time highs. I think they're only about 250, 300 points away from an all-time high in the Nikkei. So across the board green on Asian markets last night. European markets are also very green this morning, decidedly bullish, pushing to the upside after they had their retail sales actually outperform. So looking pretty good over there at the moment as they continue to stretch on higher. U.S. futures, well, we've got a little mix here about 5:30 this morning. We've got Dow futures just slightly lower, but everything else up. As a matter of fact, the NASDAQ is zooming. Already futures showing up more than 100 points on the NASDAQ this morning. If we take a look at oil prices, oil just a little bit lower. We started off yesterday going down just a little bit in oil, and then all of a sudden with the zoom up in the market, kind of the risk on attitude came into the market that everything's going to be in demand. Oil started moving up sharply yesterday, but this morning it's just a tiny bit lower as we wait for these economic numbers. We've got oil down 60 cents, Brent is down 76 cents, and natural gas is up, a portion of a cent at the moment. If we take a look at our bonds, we also have bonds moving up here this morning. The 2-year bond is at 460. The 10-year bond is at 425, but it would seem the market just doesn't care about that. As a matter of fact, I find myself being surprised over and over by the resiliency of this market after the CPI number coming out and the expectation that rates weren't going to be cut. We have priced this market for multiple rate cuts, and our PE ratios are way out of the box. But yesterday, the bulls just kind of said, here, hold my beer and watch this. And up they went here strongly. So new record highs were set yesterday. It looks like we have some indexes that could be setting record highs here at the open, depending on how we react to the data. So that said, how about we settle in? Let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Friday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thank you so much for being here today. I do very much appreciate it. I want to apologize yesterday. I got kind of long-winded in my classes yesterday with some questions that were coming up in the Right Way Options trading room. And so I didn't get a chance to answer that correspondence or answer the comments yesterday. I apologize for that. I will be back on that case today. One other thing I want to remind you of, that we're heading into a 3-day weekend, and I will also be gone on Tuesday morning, very, very early. I am going to be in surgery. I'm having 6 metal plates put into my foot, and so I will be out the entire day. And I'll be honest, my planning is Wednesday I'll be right back doing morning prep videos and running the trading room. But I have to be honest, I really don't know what the pain will be like. And so just kind of bear with me here a little bit. I'll do my very, very best to keep everyone informed and up to speed here if at all possible. So let's take a look at these charts and let's see if we can gain some information about how we may want to approach the market for today. Remember, try to shake off your bias here and let's just look at the charts for what they are, not for what you want them to be. So first off, we see the diamonds after that big ugly sell-off here on Tuesday just didn't care. It's really kind of remarkable, the resiliency here and the willingness to chase stocks that are already extremely extended. Metrics don't seem to matter at the moment. We had a very, very weak number in retail sales. Don't care. We heard about Japan slipping into recession and they're about to hit a record high. We heard about the UK going into recession. Europe doesn't seem to care at all about that. So I guess it's just all buying. If we take a look at where we are here in the diamonds, we came very, very close. As a matter of fact, it looked like we had made a new record high here in the diamonds at the close, but they've adjusted the chart here, pulling it back. So no new record high in the diamonds, but you can see that possibility that it really wouldn't take much for the bulls to push this on through, break this on out, and close up here at a new record high. Now, if they can push beyond that, then they're looking at blue sky highs above that in the diamonds, and every reason to believe the way the market's acting right now that could certainly be the case. Now, if we look at the other side, if the bears were to find inspiration today in the data that we're going to get, then a pushback here to this level seems like a pretty likely possibility. And what we would want to consider is just the big points that this could be. So make sure that you have a plan here to deal with the volatility that really could come out of this data today, and then realizing we're heading into a 3-day weekend. And those are always a little bit unnerving, and some folks just sell going into a 3-day weekend. They don't want to hold. So if we break down through that level of price support, then we may come in here and fill this gap on the chart. And then I would be looking beyond that down into this area of that price support here in the chart. Now, keeping in mind, this was the upside trend. And what we did yesterday is tested the underneath side of that trend. Notice that almost to the tick, tested that underneath side of that trend that I had drawn here in the chart. Now, that may not be drawn perfectly. I'm not saying that I've got perfect trend lines drawn on here, but that possibility that we could run into the underneath side of that as resistance and pull back is something we still want to consider. If we take a look at our SPY, well, no particular worry here. New record high close here on the SPY. That shooting star, it's like nothing matters here. Just get out of my way so I can buy something. Pushing up here strongly, and looks like we have a possibility that we could be pushing out to an all-time high print here near the open of the day, and then blue sky highs above. If for some reason the bears were to get inspired here today, then a push back down maybe to test this area of price support in the chart. And by the way, that price support, if I push this back over here, you can see those are all-time highs in here. So it's just a random price support area in there. I would actually suggest that we should kind of push this down in here, and if we pull back, we might come all the way back down into there, and that would be a pretty substantial point move, and it'd be painful for those that kind of chased in. So make sure you have a plan here to deal with that in case that volatility gets a little bit nutty. And if we push down through there, I'm going to suggest coming into levels like these would be that next possibility in the chart. So watch that pretty closely. Now, if we were to take a look at our QQQ our QQQ also stretching up here this morning with a big gap up open. Like I said, the futures right now are showing a 100-point potential gap up open, at least at the moment. And you can see that possibility that at the open here, we're going to hit an all-time high as we gap up and push. So if the data is good today, well, look for those blue sky highs to come into play. If the data happens to inspire those bears, well, let's take a look. We might come back down here, filling that gap first, catching a little bit of price support, coming on lower. There's a little bit of tiny little support in here. We've got a trend in here that we'll want to be paying attention to if we continue to progress lower. And I think there is that possibility if the bears really engage, we could pull back hard, and that would be coming back into this more of a major area of price support in the chart. So just be prepared. Hopefully you've raised those stops and you're protecting yourself, because markets like this are extremely emotional, and when that emotion shifts, it can shift in a really big, fast way. So just make sure you're prepared for that possibility. And then if we take a look at the Russell continued to just rip yesterday. Just all of a sudden, everybody loves the Russell, and we're just tearing it up here in the Russell. Gap up open and really big stretch on that, pushing back up into this area of the chart. So I'm going to suggest if the bulls continue to push, we will at least test this area. We gave it a shot yesterday, didn't quite make it there. Gave it a shot, and then this morning we're trying to gap up here again this morning. So watch that opportunity that we could test this area and even pop on through. And if we pop on through, then we're probably up here testing this area of the chart. And I will say this is a huge area of price resistance here in IWM. So just keep an careful eye on that. If we were to break through that resistance, well, the bulls are really getting something done here on the IWM if that is the case. So watch that carefully. Now, on the other side of the coin, if the bears were to come in, well, looking at this, I see that possibility of coming back to some price support right in here. And if that fails, well, that's where it could hurt just a little bit. When we leave these giant gaps behind, we could sink pretty hard and fast, and it could be kind of painful coming back into this little short-term trend that we have started here in the chart, and possibly even this support line that I had just recently turned green because we held in here and continued to push up. So watch that carefully. Let's take a look at our VIX. Now, it's interesting with the big push that we had yesterday, the VIX did come down, but not as much as you would have expected, considering the fact that we were pushing those all-time highs and the VIX being here, and we're pushing all-time highs and the VIX being here. There still seems to be a little bit of concern out there in the VIX, so we'll want to watch this carefully. If the bulls continue to push on through today, then maybe we break on down and we start hitting some of these levels down in here, because there seems to be tremendous confidence that they really don't care. They don't care, or they just absolutely do not believe that the Fed is going to hold rates. So watch that carefully here. It's anything I think is possible with some of these data points. Now, taking a look at this, that possibility that we could see some fear come into market today with the data that we've got coming, and that possible that time that we push up here, that would create a higher low, and we'll want to watch carefully for that, because it's always the same when it comes into the market. It'll be the higher low in the VIX, it'll be the lower high in the indexes that really bring in the selling. So I'm not saying that's going to occur, but let's just keep our eyes open for that possibility. Remember, as we continue to race and extend, there will be a top. And when that top comes, It will be painful, trust me on that, and there'll be a lot of folks hurt in the process if they continue the wild chase to the upside. If we take a look at our T2122, our T2122 yesterday, well, reached right up here in the bearish reversal zone. So complete whipsaw. We were bearish reversal one day. We hit the bullish reversal, and it's taken 2 days to come right back up here into the bearish reversal. So big whipsaw, just kind of a, we don't care about CPI data. We don't care about rates, I guess. And so pushing up strongly here, and we're trying to gap higher this morning. So just keeping in mind, we cannot, this indicator cannot go above 100. So if we gap up here this morning, well, we might run out of energy to the upside relatively quickly. Keep an eye on that. If the bears happen to find inspiration, well, you can see we've got a big downside opportunity. Can't go below these lines, by the way. Just drew that too long. But we've got a big downside opportunity. So once again, I'm going to suggest watch for the potential whipsaw. Watch for the potential big point moves in the market and make sure you're prepared for that. If we take a look at our T2108, we did have a nice rebound here in T2108, and this is encouraging. Seeing that nice little bullish push back up here. We broke back above that 50% area here in the chart, and back up above some price support levels in that chart. Now, keeping in mind, we're still just trying to sneak out from underneath that downtrend, and if we can push on through this morning, then we might start reaching up here, testing these additional resistance levels in the chart. We've got plenty of upside opportunity here in T2108. If the bears happen to find that inspiration, let's just be reminded of that big whip that went down on a Tuesday. So watch that carefully. We've got some support down in here, though, if we do whip to the downside, albeit it would likely be a pretty painful move. If we take a look at T2107, T2107 also whipping right back up here to this resistance that we struggled with here recently, and on that CPI number dropped really hard in this price support. Now, what we're seeing here in T2107 is pretty strong. There's just no evidence here, at least at the moment, that the bears want to get going here. Small caps seem to be coming around pretty strong. So watch that carefully if we pop out of here. Keeping in mind, once we reach up here in the 65 region of the chart, we get very, very frothy on T2107, and then we can run into that possibility that we're just way overextended, and we pull back. Let's take a look at our T2101. Now, the breadth of the market, this I thought was interesting. It did turn up yesterday, but wouldn't you expect, with such a big zooming move to the upside where everything was pretty much rallying, that we'd see more breadth coming into the market? Kind of surprising that we didn't, but at least it did move up with the bullish side of the market. So you got to give them that. We'll want to watch that carefully. If we can push on out of here, break that downtrend here in the chart. So watch that carefully here today. We don't want to see us continuing to stretch up and have that breadth be turning back lower. This still seems like a tremendous divergence from the market. If we were to look at our market's doing this, and our breadth is doing this. It kind of makes me a little bit uncomfortable, but they're just continuing to do it. So watch that carefully. Let's take a look at our economic calendar here for today. Our economic calendar is going to be an interesting one this morning. Not a lot on it, but some market movers here. First off, we're going to have a pretty good slate of Fed speakers here today, so we'll want to be keeping that in mind. Apparently, Bostic came out here at the end of the day yesterday saying, hey, don't count on rate cuts anytime soon. It's too early to be talking about that, which isn't a surprise after seeing the CPI. If we take a look at what else we've got going, we've got housing starts and permits, but the real interesting one is going to be this PPI number and see how that comes in. Our housing starts are expecting those to increase. Our permits, they're expecting those to increase by consensus. If we take a look, I'm sorry, you might not be able to see that. On the PPI, expectations are improvements in most of these metrics here. They're not giving us an estimate on the headline number that'll come in here. But remember, they were also giving us these lowered estimates on the CPI. So keep a close eye on that. I would expect some quite the volatility here this morning, and it could be bullish or bearish on that. Consumer sentiment will also be out today. Our consumer sentiment, they're expecting that to be 80 up from 79.0. You will want to keep in mind that the small business optimism number earlier this week was horrible. It's about a 3-year low on that. So small businesses are not feeling the love. Maybe the consumers are feeling the love, and we'll find that out here in a little bit. Let's take a look at our earnings calendar here for today. Our earnings calendar doesn't have nearly as many reports this morning that are notable. So I'll run through those really quick here because I'm not doing a blog here today. If we do AXL, that'll be reporting. We have Barnes Group reporting. CNK. One thing, a theme here, just about every stock in this list is rallying toward its earnings report. There is a chase in earnings that is really quite remarkable going on. No fear going into earnings, and that again makes me a little bit nervous and reminds me a lot of the 1999 dot-com situation, because there was just no fear of anything. Everything's got to go up and it's never going to go down, till all of a sudden it really came down. HR, POR, PPL, TRP, THS, and VMC all reporting today, and you can see we've already got a couple coming in here. THS feeling a little bit of pain, big old pop and drop, and TRP in the pre-market, and it looks like POR heading up. So keep an eye on these. And by the way, I think all of these are numbers that will be out this morning and not this afternoon. So let's take a look at a few stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, guys, if you could do me that quick favor, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, if you could please click that subscribe button on YouTube. Also click that bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And if you find these videos to be useful or helpful, if you could do me that favor, and that would be leave a brief comment. That helps the channel to continue to grow. Thank you so much for everyone who does take the time to do that. I truly appreciate it. And remember, even an emoji counts as engagement with the video. So thank you to everyone who does take the time to do that. I do truly appreciate it. Let's take a look at some stocks setting up, and please keep in mind these are not recommendations to buy or sell any security. You need to do your own due diligence. Be very careful in this market, and as I said, just be prepared for some volatility today. It could be bullish, bearish, and who knows what we might be thinking heading into the 3-day weekend. So plan carefully. Let's take a look. I put DKNG on my list yesterday. I really like this pattern in here. Unfortunately, it's going to be reporting on the 22nd. So, next week could really mess this chart up. I mean, gap big or gap down, who knows what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of different things here on these charts, but very bullish pattern in here on DKNG. I would keep that on the list and keep an eye on that. As you guys know, I talked about Tractor Supply yesterday, and Tractor Supply started down, and then with the zooming market, wow, look at that pattern. Holy cow, what a candle. Just reversed, came all the way back up, popped the alert, stretching out to the upside. Everything is copacetic here, and there's every reason to believe, holding on to this support, that we're in good shape to maybe start testing some of these highs up here in Tractor Supply. So hopefully some of you got in on that trade, looking pretty good to the upside. You guys also know that I talked about Apple as being a potential short, and I would be watching this carefully now because we pushed down, we tested the neckline of this head and shoulders pattern in the chart. So any rally back up into here, I would be watching for some of these resistance levels to maybe come into play in Apple, and I'd be looking for that next opportunity short, because if we break this trend line or this neckline here, the rule, the generalized rule, I should say, of a head and shoulders top is once we break the headline neckline, will usually fall about the distance from the head, top of the head to the neckline, which puts us back down into this range here of the chart. So could be a pretty good short coming here on Apple, and I was a little bit ahead of that, listing a for RWO members a ratio spread trade here with a short that was up here along here and a cutoff in that trade right in here, and you can see this is a profitable trade at the moment that is pushed down here. So if you're interested in some of those more complex trades, give us a look and take a trial. Love to have you in the room. Let's take a look at a few other charts here, and just know that there's a lot of volatility. Take a look at Fastenal. Now, I have a little bit of a bias here on Fastenal because I am holding it at the moment, and it had pushed down here to test this support. Had a nice bullish day yesterday, pushing up. Today could be telling with these PPI numbers whether or not we're going to break out of this resistance and continue to push on higher or not. So watch Fastenal. That might be interesting here to be paying attention to. I think it would be wise with the big push in oil yesterday. Take a look at oil exploration ETF, XOP. Nice little pop here yesterday. Big, strong move, and you can see popping through some resistance here in the chart. So any rest or pullback now, if this can kind of hold, I drew that line way too high. Any rest or pullback in here that holds this higher low in the chart, I would look for that next opportunity in XOP. Pretty good looking chart overall. And if we look at some of the stocks out there, take a look at Exxon Mobile oil sector stocks. Looking at this, breaking this downtrend, we've got this inverted pattern here in the chart. Looking for that upside and that possibility that we could pop on through some of these resistance levels here in the chart and start extending higher. So I would watch for that next opportunity here in Exxon Mobile, and quite a few of the big energy players out there have some good looking charts in them, so I would watch that carefully. Now, I've talked about Shopify quite a bit here recently. Shopify broke this this resistance area here the other day, and then just took off like a rocket to the upside. And then we got those Tuesday CPI numbers, and we fell hard on that. But here again, we've decided that doesn't matter here in the market, and we're tearing it back up to the upside. So keep an eye on this, breaking back through this resistance in the chart. Any kind of rest, consolidation that happens where we pull back a little bit in here could set that next opportunity for this to stretch on higher in the chart. So I'd keep a close eye on Shopify. Other trades out there, and there's just a ton of them moving hard to the upside. But I got to say, when I look at AMD, I like the setup in here. I don't particularly want to chase this. The PE ratios, the things on this chart are just exceedingly ridiculous. But at this point, you can see we're trying to deal with this resistance. And I told you yesterday, breaking that little downtrend, any kind of resting pullback that comes back into trend certainly sets up that opportunity that we can continue to move on higher here in AMD. Take a look at Netflix. Netflix, holy moly, just breaking and stretching like crazy the last couple of days. We pretty much ignored the CPI, didn't care about that, and continuing to rip to the upside. I wouldn't want to chase this at the moment, but any resting consolidation in here would be that next opportunity, I think, to find some upside move here in the chart. Google has been one of those that has been very heavily loved here in the market. It came back down and was testing this price support in the chart. So I would watch this carefully in here, holding onto this price support. There is that possibility that we could rally back up, but I would be a little bit questioning here on this chart. We could rally back into this downtrend and then potentially find more sellers in here. If we take a look at more of a moving average chart, you can see here we're holding right there on that 50-day moving average, and that can be a very, very good price support in the chart. What we do want to question, though, is with some of these big techs feeling just a little bit of weakness here recently. If we were to rally back, hit anything in this downtrending area of the chart, I'd be looking for that next opportunity and the possible break of that 50-day moving average. And you can see this pattern here in the chart. This is an extreme price action moves happening here, but we may start seeing just a little bit of pressure on some of these big tech giants. So keep an eye on those. So with that, everyone, hey, I want to wish you all a fantastic day. And more importantly, a wonderful, wonderful 3-day weekend with your family. I hope everything is great. I hope your weather's good. I hope you have an awesome, awesome weekend. Keep in mind, Tuesday morning, I'll be having foot surgery. And I will not be here Tuesday morning, so I apologize on that, but I'm hoping to be back first thing Wednesday. Everyone take care, be safe, have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you right back here bright and early on Wednesday. Wish you all the very, very best.